Roger.
Okay then, so we're all here. So hello, happy birthday to us. Exercise Desert Tiger 1601 begins. Basically, the idea for this LFE then is just to expose everybody to large-scale ops, strike interdiction pre-planned variety, with multi-flight, multi-package coordination going on. To that end, the situation for today is Northeria and Southeria are at war. Those horrible Northerians have once again started invading people and being nasty and generally horrible in all respects. So we are going to go and start killing them. Mission time is 0500 local today in Sim. To that end, the weather is exactly as it is in Las Vegas today. So, cloud visibility all fine, no cloud deck at all, and yeah, no fog, mist or anything like that. Winds 015 at 17 knots at ground level, well, tower altitude at Nellis. Getting significantly faster up into the 50 knot range once you hit 30,000 feet. So obviously when we're in the cruise at 20,000 and those guys holding at 22,000, you probably will have some reasonable crosswinds, tailwinds, headwinds to contend with. So watch your tracks, etc. while you're in the Marshall. Temperature 18 degrees Celsius, and for the Colonials 55 degrees Fahrenheit. And QNH for Nellis and for the operation in general is 29.94. Tasking. General tasking is to interdict and destroy hostile ground forces massing on the forward line of enemy troops, which is in the border region, essentially, which is marked by range 76 and range 75 at Nellis. 76 VFS will be tasked to degrade and destroy enemy mechanised forces massing mainly in range 75, and the 81st, in support of that objective, will be taking out air defences and command and control facilities in 76 and 75 West. 2 packages in today's flight then. 76 VFS consists of 5 flights, 2 ships each. Again, missions and etc. as fragged. I'll not go into the detail of the actual individual mission flights. I'll let you guys brief that to your wingmen as required. And 81st, again, separate package, 4 flights in that package. Departure order, 81st will go up first, being that we're taking out the taking out the air defences and the command and control to degrade the capability of the enemy to do anything nasty back to us. Followed by the 76th. We'll take off in flight order, so Panther 1, Panther 2, Panther 3, Panther 4, or then Vanguards 1 through 5 in that order. If there are any major faults, red balls, etc. on the ramp, then we'll just skip that flight that's having issues, and they'll have to follow in behind after everyone else has got in the air.
Interrupt.
Go.
Will we be able to expedite takeoff? Will we be able to use 3 left to expedite, or is it strictly 3 right?
Strictly 3 right, given the payloads we're carrying.
Right.
But yeah, 2 ships. It shouldn't take us too long to get in the air, all being well. And that will also, as taking off in order, will build in some nice time separation, both for arriving at the Marshall stack and obviously heading into targets. Okay, once we're all airborne, then it's going to be straightforward A10 VFR north departure, continuing to the Marshall stack. Ingress, again, relatively straightforward, but I've just got those in slightly the wrong order, so I'll go on to Marshall first. Marshall itself then, and we'll go over to Google Earth now. So, taking off from Nellis, standard VFR north departure via Apex and Dry Lake, reporting out of Nellis traffic at Apex. Then we're going to head north to Juneau, onto Mormon Peak, and up to Filter. Filter, that's where the individual flights will start separating off. Panthers 1 through 4 will continue north to Devil's Gap, and then northwest onto Boston, into the Marshall stack at Alaska from Angels 1-6 all the way up to Angels 22. The Vanguard flights, Vanguards 1 through 3, will continue to Devil's Gap, onto Dover, and then into the Marshall stack at Maine. Again, Angels 1-8 up to Angels 22. And Vanguards 4 and 5 will separate at Filter, head west to Raleigh, and then onto Virginia for their Marshall stack at Angels 20 and 22. Okay. Anyone got any questions, comments, thoughts, remarks on the departure and Marshall stack?
Just one comment on the Marshal. For those at Maine and Virginia, keep an eye out for the tanker. I think he's at 18 or 19. I don't remember the altitudes, but Pegasus tracks right between those.
Yeah, indeed. Good spot text. Yeah, the reason I didn't use New York actually was specifically because we'd be overlap with the tanker track, which, as you say, is pretty much in the middle of the two. It shouldn't, all being well, conflict, but yeah, make sure you do keep an eye out.
19 and 15 Pegasus.
Yeah.
Tracks are left-handed.
Correct.
Obviously, the actual hold radials, Marshall radios are in there. 075 pretty much for everybody at Maine and Virginia, and 0 to 10 DME, and the Alaska hold is, excuse me, it's 075 again. Right, just realised I didn't change that. You can hold at 255. We are going to hold at 075 radial, however. Just to clarify that one.
Just one last thing for those of us at 18,000, should we, just to make sure we're clear, I guess we'll already be on Q&E from Dover, so we should stay at that for 18,000?
Negative, we are on Nellis QNH throughout the Force QNH throughout the whole flight in the NTTR.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
if I remember correctly, in the entire netter as
We got it.
QNH standard.
Yep. Okay, so departing the Marshall stack then, again it'll be in flight order, so Vanguards will maintain in the Marshall until all Panther flights have exited the Marshall stack and are en route. Obviously Vanguard 1 will push first of the Vanguards after Panther 4. So Panthers will go myself, Panther 1 first, 60-second separation between each flight pushing, and that will be push from the Marshall point itself. So when Panther 1 goes beyond the Marshall point, regardless of altitude on the push, Panther 2 will begin 60-second count, and obviously tailor your turn, turn back to the Marshall early if you need to, etc., to depart from the Marshall stack 60 seconds later. Once we push, obviously we'll give the Peroni call, and then essentially 5 minutes after that call, the first Vanguard flight can push, and then again 60-second separation between each Vanguard flight until everyone's out of the Marshall stack. If anybody does go delayed on the ground, package commanders just obviously reshuffle your flights as required. There's no time on targets as such, it's just going to be a straightforward, simple. If there's too much stuff going on in your target area for you to get in with flights ahead of you, just hold off your IP terrain mast until such time as you can get into your target. Arrange that within your packages as you need to.
Sorry, can you go back over the Peroni call? I think I missed something. Who's it? Package commander making that, or each departing flight at 60 seconds?
Well, the package will make that call. So it's a package push call. So I will make the call for 281 package. You will make the call as the 76 package commander for Budweiser when you guys call push.
All right, so I'm Budweiser 5 minutes after Panther 4.
5 minutes after Peroni.
After Peroni.
After Peroni, not Panther 4.
Yes.
Not Panther 4, we got it.
Yeah, that gives then 60 seconds between Panther 4 pushing and Vanguard 1.
Right, now that makes sense. And then obviously if things change dynamically due to days, or you're not gonna go Peroni until you've got everyone marshalling in Panther.
That's correct, yeah. I'm going to wait for all Panther flights to hit the Marshall stack and be good to go, and then we'll push. Likewise, obviously, if you do need to delay your push for Vanguards, do so. But yeah, no need to unless there's any particular reason. As I say, if there is a flight that's delayed, unless they're going to be, a couple of minutes behind, then we'll push without them and let them just go straight from the Marshall through the flight.
Got it.
As far as the rest of the flight to target, then I'll not worry about that. I'll let you guys brief that within your flights. But yeah, basically from the LATN, critical points to note, however, obviously, don't trespass the container 4808 Alpha, and especially if you are going the northern route and going through Reveille North, Reveille South, make sure you don't spill out of the Nitter off to the north or to the west. Especially around the Tonopah region. Again, watch out for when you're coming around that mountain to the north, if you are, like certainly I am. And Tonopah itself, again, make sure you don't overfly the airfield. Tactically speaking then, the main issues we've got for today are the two GCI early warning radars, GCI-1, GCI-2. They're the things where you need to be terrain masking from. GCI-1 obviously has a very good coverage over EC East, the Coyotes, 74s and Reveille South, excepting of course areas where the terrain is causing the shadow to the radar. So our aim is to stay low, terrain mast as much as possible to avoid detection by that early warning radar GCI-1, while obviously equally not being so low as anyone ends up flying into the terrain. That's going to be the key. There's no air threat to worry about today, so there's no need to be down at 100 feet. You know, if you can be at 2,000 feet and still be masked from that GCI radar, then that's what you need to do. Obviously, I would recommend, you know, tailoring your LATN route with that in mind. Considering where GCI-1 is, although that it looks like a nice route through the valley there, just bear in mind it's right where the radar is. So I would very much advise either going north or south at that point. From there then into the targets themselves, all located within range 75 east and west and 76. Significant targets then are 7610, which is going to be my target. That is an SA2 site, which again is one of the first, that should be the first target to go down, all being well. And then we have range 7520, which is Stuka's target as Panther 3. That is an SA6 site. Again, that should be, all being well, the second target to go down at the same time or shortly after the SA2 site goes down. Again, not live targets, so it's purely theoretical at this point, but we'll see how that goes in the future. Again, once we start getting close to target, GCI-2 comes into play, especially across 75, 76, into the 71s EC West, and to a degree East to East as well, depending on your altitude, etc. So bear in mind your terrain at that area. If we just look down at the terrain over the target area, you'll see it is quite mountainous. There are a lot of hills that do provide masking as you're coming in from the north, but sooner or later we will pop up on that GCI's coverage. Just basically aim to hide as long as you can. Once you're at target, it doesn't matter too much. We're doing what we're doing. Okay, any questions overall then for the ingress and the targets themselves?
Nope.
Okay, obviously bear in mind the comms flow then, nice clear code words for each significant phase of the flight and the attacks. Just call those out on uniform as and when. Those that are flight calls, as in the attack, IP, attack and attack complete, just there for the flight leads to call out over uniform. The package push and the package RTB are for the package commanders to call out on uniform as well.
Interrogative.
Go.
Just slightly back on the attacks. Of note that I picked up in the brief that for deconfliction purposes, some flights may anticipate a hold near IP or target area to remain masked from target and early warning. So just be advised. I think I read that in the brief.
Yep, indeed, that's correct. You know, should you need to do it, you know, especially I think it's going to be most appropriate really for the vanguards coming in, given that your targets are all in very close proximity to each other and you're only 60 seconds of separation. It may well be the case that if you are all on, you know, relatively, you know, similar routes into the target area, you may have to stack either north or perhaps, you know, if you're coming in through 74 and Bahout, for example, you know, to the southeast in masking there, just to wait for the people to go in. Obviously, bear in mind everyone's only got 5 minutes maximum on target, or 10 attacks, and that is total attacks. So a pass is an attack, regardless of whether 1 or 2 aircraft employ ordnance on that pass. So again, I don't anticipate many people getting to 10 attacks before 5 minutes is up anyway.
So, just question, and it shouldn't be a problem, but just in case there's some kind of delay up ahead with Panther, if Panther 4, if I don't hear that Panther flight, if I don't hear from you that Panther flight, whatever the code word is, for your completion, is Vanguard 1 to stay at IP?
entirely at your discretion, mate.
All right.
Yeah, Vanguard, your package, you handle it as you see fit. Likewise, flight leads within the Vanguard flights, it's entirely down to you. If you can think that you can safely carry out your attack plan with other aircraft in the area, then do so. Obviously, for those of you hitting targets in 75 Echo, you should be able to quite happily conduct your attacks with people operating in 75 Whiskey. But again, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. As long as Vanguard's not required to wait for Panther to make its code word, that was pretty much it. Everything else, I think, is pretty clear.
Cool. Okay then. So from that point on, as soon as the attack's complete, we can then go for the recovery. As far as LATN out of target, at flight lead's discretion, you can remain LATN or you can climb to altitude. It's entirely down to you. At that point, we've carried out our attacks. The enemy already know that we're there. We just need to get away as quickly as we can. We are going to be going for a Jason recovery into a strike recovery into runway 3 right today. 2 options for Jason, either in from Garth into flush and into Jason there onto strike, or in from BT onto Jason into strike. Again, flight lead discretion which one of these you take. I think most of the 81st are going in from BT onto Jason, mainly because with us coming out for the western targets, it's just easier to come through EC South, climb up to BT and then head in that way. For the 76th, obviously I think a lot of you guys probably it's going to be easier to go through Garth. If you are going Garth flush, bear in mind the altitude restriction on Dreamland, minimum of 10,000. So basically you need to be above 10,000 feet, which shouldn't be too much of an issue because obviously we need to be above 9,500 for strike anyway. So you just going to have to consider that. If your route is direct target to Garth, you're going to have to probably throw in a few either spiral ascent or diversion to climb up to 10,000 before you go into 488 Delta. The other thing I will say, as soon as we start the recovery, so either Garth or BT onto Nellis CTAF, at that point we are under the area of interest of Nellis. We want to be talking on the same frequency, so we know what every flight is doing, especially if we end up in a situation where the 2 packages are starting to mix it up and get in the same area. If that does happen, then obviously we'll try and recover in flight order as per departure. So Panther's in first, Vanguard's in second, unless obviously again someone's significantly delayed. If there's a massive airspace gap, then by all means slot into it. But don't come slipping in between flights that are only 2 miles in trail, for example. If a delay hold is required, then I would say either hold at stack at strike or stack at Jason, whichever's appropriate, and just throw in a couple of 360s, but make sure you've got a minimum of 2,000 feet altitude separation. And the deconfliction at that point will be on the flight that is holding rather than the flights that are inbound on track.
Just a quick question. We will be blackjack outside of Nellis. We blackjack throughout. There's no tactical.
Yes. Blackjack is the tactical for this package. Yep.
Understood.
Obviously, just to clarify on that one though, uniform blackjack, Victor will be the 76 and 81st frequencies respectively, which are to be used for the package comms. So comms relevant only to your package on Victor, flight comms on Fox Mike, and general mission comms on uniform.
Right. So, but I'm supposed to hear so you're going to make your Peroni call on uniform?
Correct.
Okay.
Anything that concerns the entire mission will be made on uniform. Anything that concerns only the packages on Victor. Anything that concerns only the flight on Fox Mike. Obviously, with 18 jets in the air, radio discipline is going to be quite important. By all means, as always, usual chit-chat on Fox Mike, but Victor and uniform, try and keep them as clear as possible, just the calls that are necessary. Otherwise, it's going to be starting getting quite difficult, and we're going to be stepping on each other a lot.
Okay, just to quickly summarize, Peroni / Budweiser calls, even though you guys probably don't care too much about Budweiser and Panther, those will be on Victor. All attack calls, all IP inbound calls, those are going to be, sorry, I said that backwards. First one's uniform. Everything else is on Victor.
All those code words on uniform.
And the push, the push code word, only you give it, right? We don't
Correct.
say it as a flight lead.
Correct.
All I report is actually Trooper Corona and Heineken actually.
Yes. Okay, then say from strike, just carry on with the strike recovery as it's published. Over Jordan, Gas Peak, Simmons, Craig, and then into Nellis 3 right. Obviously, when it comes to the recovery into Nellis, make sure you're familiar with the ordnance restrictions. If you're carrying forward-firing ordnance, you can still recover into forward-firing ordnance only, i.e. rockets, Maverick. You can recover on 03 right at Nellis. If you are carrying any other ordnance, i.e. bombs, you must divert to Creech. Yeah, runway 21 isn't available because 15 knot tailwind's just too high. If you are obviously completely clean of ordnance, then overhead brake is absolutely fine and should be the preferred approach. Okay, any questions on the mission overview? No? Okay, excellent. Right then, in that case, we'll briefly break down into packages. 81st, if we want to go down to Bravo, we'll leave the 76th here as they're
Sorry,
more
just-
of them. Oh,
Yeah, one quick remark also.
go on then.
Yeah, I'll make one quick, Stoke. So if for some reason, whatever, I don't survive it, just to have it out there, Gunny take over package command for Vanguard.
Roger.
If I'm having radio issues or anything like that, we'll deal with that.
For staging purposes, all the 81st jets are at the Lola, all the 76 jets are at the Gulf Redmond.
Yep.
So you are most likely going to be somewhere else than you are normally on the DS.
Upgrade for me, yes.
It's still a red tail.
Which is an upgrade from a yellowtail.
Zoink! Shots fired.
Anything else, guys?
No,
Brief,
top-
man, thank you.
Okay,
Outstanding.
right then, let's hit down at Bravo, 81st, 76, you guys stay up here. Obviously split down into flights as and when required, Dojo. If you need to, try and keep the briefs as quick as we can, and let's get in the air as soon as possible. Catch you guys in there.
Cool. Thanks. Dojo, where we headed?
Okay, guys, right. General package brief then. I don't think there's too much to add from me over and above what I've just given.
We're missing a couple.
Oh, are we? Who are we missing? Ismus. Anybody else?
Ismus, are you AFK?
I'm here.
There we go.
Right.
Yeah. No, we got 8, so that's right. Okay. Yeah. Say nothing significant to add from me. From a package point of view, it's pretty much the same as the mission in total. The only thing I'll add from us, in terms of the ingress routes, etc., just keep an eye on the TAD. Make sure you're not conflicting with anybody. The priority flights on target are Panther 1, Panther 3, taking out the SA2 and SA6. So Panther 2, Panther 4, if you can't get in your target with us over target, which is probably going to be the case for you guys, hold at IP or AN, other appropriately terrain mass location until we are off. In terms of ingress then, airspeed wise, I'm anticipating, pretty much round about between 250, 275 throughout the entire flight, but play it by ear. Obviously, fuel conservation is the prime going to be thing for this mission. Again, during the departure phase, especially sitting at 20,000 feet at 220 knots, again, will be the order of the day. 1, it keeps everyone a bit closer together in the departures. 2, it saves fuel, which is, again, the priority number 1 at this point.
Just a question. Are you gonna push flights once all flights are in stack, or you're gonna push Panthers prior to Vanguards being stacked?
As soon as Panther is in the Marshal, we will push.
Okay, super.
Unless Vanguard comes over the radio and there's something significantly causing us a deviation from that. Because at the end of the day, us pushing early is only a good thing for them because it means we're out of the airspace quicker.
Yeah.
So as far as individual flight plans then, again, that's down to individual flight leads. You fly wherever you want as long as you comply with the restrictions, avoid GCI as much as you can, and I think everyone's happy there. Anyone got any significant bleeding, burning questions as far as the package as a whole?
Nope, I just report the IP attacking, and when attack finished. Just a question on the attacking. It is the moment I make my first pass, and if I do like 3 passes, when I do my last pass, I call attack finished. In that case, Heineken.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Anything else? No? Okay then. Right, let's break down into flights then. As we're here first, everyone quickly grab a briefing room. Trigger will stay here, everyone else jumping as you see fit. I recommend just going Charlie Delta Echo in order.
Good brief, Eddie. Thanks for that.
Alright. I'll leave the meeting up actually if you're still in it, because yeah, I will just cover ours in here.
Okay.
Are you looking at the? You are looking at the screen share, I assume.
Yep, got TeamViewer still open.
Okie dokie. Right then, in that case, I'll just clear all this stuff off and stand by. Where are we again? I've lost it now. There we go. Right, so our flight plan, mate. Basically, obviously the departure, Marshall stack as briefed. From there, what we're doing is we are heading from Alaska. Relatively mild descent. You know, we're not going to do a 45-degree dive or anything like that. We're just basically going to aim to get down in the weeds, sort of just shortly after this mountain ridge here. From there onto the waypoints as flagged. Bear with me a second. Let me just pull up all these waypoints here. Not that one. CSAR points. That's what I wanted. Navies departure. There we go. Right. So from Alaska, the first waypoint we're going to hit is November 7. We're going to pass just by November 6, but I didn't see the point in adding it into the flight plan really. Obviously, usual story, won't quite fly a straight line. We'll fly around as we need to, but what I want to do is keep you in wedge as much as possible and use just tactical turns, in-place turns, etc. to manoeuvre as we can. And there's no point in yanking and banking in, fighting wing. We just don't need to be. So I'll try and keep the manoeuvring as sedate as I can, but if you are struggling to maintain position, let me know and we'll switch it into either combat trail or fighting wing as we need to.
Are you going to call them the turns, or am I free to manoeuvre in wedge if I need to cross over?
You're free to manoeuvre in wedge as always, no issue there, but if we're going to make any particular call, I will call it out over comms as well.
Okay.
November 7, November 8, there's a valley there, so we're going to need to be in trail for that one. So my plan is basically once we come up to November 7, I'll just call an in place, essentially 90-degree right, which will put us into trail, and then head up to November 8. I'll continue north out of the valley somewhat, and then call another 90 left, and that'll again put us back into pretty much a wedge. We're not going to fly direct November 8 to November 10. We're going to probably go north slightly and sort of more round that turn out as sort of the terrain basically gives us. The big one for us is once we hit November 10 there, again we'll probably be slightly north of that when we actually pass it, and looping round the Nixon Peak Ridge there. Really need to be sticking relatively close to the ridge. This is going to be quite important for you. I'm going to try and hug the ridge as much as I can, so that with that sort of mile plus spacing, you're not going to be trespassing outside the knitter. But there's literally a couple of miles of airspace there, so one of the most trespassed areas in reality. So we'll try and not do it. And then likewise, once we're coming up, although the flight plan basically goes straight from November 10 to Oregon. Where's Oregon gone? Hang on. There we go. From November 10 to Oregon, we're going to sort of again follow the the ridge round there again, and then pass pretty much sort of southwest past Seattle, although it's not a reference point. Again, we'll do our best to sort of stay to the east of Tonopah there into Oregon. Oregon again brings us through a little bit of a valley pass. So again, we'll probably be slightly north of the actual waypoint itself, and then into the IP. What I want to do is bring us, essentially, it's going to be more or less a TAC 90 to the left. So what I'm thinking is I'll bring us into trail at Oregon, do an in-place 90 to the to the left there, and then running on target. What I do want to do though is have you on the right hand side if possible, so that we can come off target to the east and to the left. Do you think that's possible looking at the geometry, or would you rather us come off to the right? I'm easy either way.
Can you just pull the shot back a little bit, just the previous waypoint, that's bottom right?
Yeah.
So where am I going to be as we're running into towards Oregon? On your left or right wing? On the right, I guess.
Yeah, probably on the right, but at that point it'll be up to you really. We'll be in wedge, so as you want. Into Oregon, I'll call us trail sort of just before Oregon. Head into IP, again, not a marked waypoint, it's just a straight grid ref, and then into target. So I want us basically in line / wedge, running in on target. I'm easy either way really.
You're going to have to give me some knots then, I think.
Yeah, indeed. I'm going to sort of stick around closer to 250 at this point, I think. There's no point in screaming through the sky at 300, really.
Yeah, I guess I need to go buster about 30 seconds before that final turn.
Yeah. Yeah,
and then I'll just extend out slightly on that.
Yeah, that's
on
it.
The left-hand turn and try and pick up in some position somewhere in your 4 or 5 o'clock.
Yeah. I mean, if you're sort of more trail slightly off to the left as well there, that'll, I think, give you the better option to come in, slightly delay your turn as you say, and that'll obviously take away some of the distance separation as well. But yeah, just play it by ear. If we end up in sort of a very deep wedge, that's fine. I'm not too bothered really. There's nothing significant that's going to prevent that. The attack itself, so as I say on the MDC, first one will be Wedge Mavericks shooters on 7610. The target itself, I don't think you can really tell in that well in Google Earth, but it's not too bad.
It looks pretty distinctive.
Yeah, target itself, not sure the roads are actually there, but certainly that is the same target layout. You've got the 6 launchers surrounding a radar in the middle. First run, I'm going to go for the radar, you go for a launcher of your choice. 1 Maverick each, off target, and then we'll repeat that attack, each going after a launcher. I will probably just sort in the direction of egress off to the east, so the left, you sort off to the right. Again, hit whatever we can.
Sorry Eddie, can you just give me a moment?
Yep.
Just going to have comms quickly.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
Yep, so say, sort that way, and then back towards the IP, although we won't go all the way to the IP, and then we'll do a, a straight rocket attack on that target area. Again, just saturate the area with rockets, so no sort as such, just stick it on the dimpy, press the button, all 14 rockets off, done. And then from there, we'll do additional gun runs as necessary. So if we've killed anything, we'll just egress out. If there's anything left, we'll do a couple of gun passes and clean up. But with a total of 7 targets, we shouldn't need more than a couple of gun runs each to clean everything up anyway, even if the rockets do nothing.
Going to be an intense 5 minutes.
Indeed. But yeah, for the...
Are you going to bump up for the Maverick?
Yes, yeah, we'll bump up out of terrain masking, probably a couple of thousand feet AGL, and go for the Mav from there.
Okay. And it was 1 Maverick per pass.
1 Maverick per pass, yeah. Okay, any questions on target, mate?
Nope, that looks okay.
Cool. I say egress then, just basically straight south out of the knitter. Obviously we've got that one grid waypoint sort of around there to bring us off target, and then from there straight to BT, climbing up to Angels 10. Obviously we're not trespassing Dreamland, so we don't need to worry about that. And then BT, just straight Jason recovery, Jason onto strike, and then strike Jordan, Gaspeat, Simmons, Craig. The recovery we'll do in echelon left, so there'll be a few inside turns for you, and the initial turn as well will be inside. So try and do it if we can. If you have to cross, drift slightly into tail, etc., then yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Okay, it's going to be a little bit loose.
Yeah, indeed. It's a tight turn coming in on that final, you know, because say you're coming south, following Craig basically in the same direction, and then having to turn, yeah, basically sort of 45 plus degrees of bank there. So it's going to be sporty, shall we say, but do what we can.
Okay.
And then say straight overhead brake to the right onto 3 right. We should be the first flight in, so hopefully the airspace ahead will be nice and clear for us.
Be good.
Right, any questions at all?
Nope, there's nothing that occurs at the moment.
Outstanding. In that case, yeah, should we go do this thing?